That's James's waffle for today. It's probably going to be the last waffle, so this is the last run of the waffle year, I guess it has been.
The waffle iron's kicked out, is that
yeah, it's not working.
It's too bad.
So that's kiwi, blueberry, banana, and grapefruit with coconut whipped cream. And there's mine. I put a little bit of lilac on there because it's lilac season. And
were you saying flowers or blooms tend to be very nutritious?
Depends on the bloom,
okay.
But lilacs are.
Well,
so
there you go.
Walks and easy hikes in the Canadian Rockies.
Yeah.
So James is going to be talking about that one. And I don't know, I guess I'm going to sit down here. It'll be really low today. Because I took away our chair, because I'm doing work out here. So, but I felt like doing a waffle breakfast anyway, so this is how we're living. So I had to cover up my waffle pretty much completely because I had to cook half of the cook time in the toaster. So I had to cut it in half and stick it in. Waffle's not.
There was no way the waffle iron was going to do the job then?
No. Well, it would have taken forever. It's what I had to do for yours is carefully flip it over to cook the other side because it seemed like it was only cooking on the one side of the waffle iron.
Huh. Okay. Well, yeah, careful because it was a bit hot, right? I don't really want to ruin the effect.
I know, it's so beautiful. If we're gonna go out, may as well go out with a bang, right?
Well, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's healthy with the grapefruit, but it's tasty. Almost everything else. Grapefruit can be kind of tasty if you eat it with something like waffles. By itself, a little astringent.
Yeah, we found that grapefruit is actually a good waffle topping with something sweet like blueberries.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, you're going to talk about the easy hikes. He's been talking about it. Well, he's been reading it. He really likes that book.
Oh yeah. So I'll just show you a few pictures and stuff like. I wanted to tear into this waffle, but I thought Pauline would have.
No, I don't.
More stuff.
It's just about the hikes.
Just about the hikes.
Because we want you to get out hiking.
We want people to get out hiking because
this
it actually helps out
country
with
to hike in.
Brain functioning.
It does.
People have lots of trouble with brain functioning nowadays because they're overweight, and I don't think that helps out with brain functioning. And they're sluggish because they're, they think, oh, I'm playing video games, and that helps out with brain functioning.
And some of the talk, I won't say it caused it exactly because I don't want my video getting shut off because
has that actually happened?
Yes,
it has happened.
If you disagree with
responsible about COVID, it's incredible.
Or local health authorities on some matter, say the pandemic or whatever, on some sort of health matters, then they can block your video.
And they have tried or they've succeeded. Now here's the thing. It would be impossible, I think, to be more responsible than us.
Yeah.
We've talked about a variety of different sorts of things.
Healthy.
Like
go out hiking, eat healthy food.
Yeah. And
fresh fruit.
About COVID,
sugar,
you've actually got to talk about the possibility, for example, of there being this being a terrorist attack. You see what I'm saying? You have to talk about it.
And
it's amazing what'll happen when a terrorist attack occurs. People will be, saying, "We're not doing masking. We're not doing this." Holy smokes!
Yeah.
Terrorists will be looking at this. I don't think it was a terrorist attack. I think it was the People's Republic of China, the leaders, the misleaders.
Well, it doesn't matter.
We're going, hey, this is awesome.
Waterton, hiking. That one's hike.
Well, this has got to be talked about, the censorship, because no one censored Theresa Tam when she was saying masks don't work. Fact is, they might actually be counterproductive. Absolutely. No one censored her. Yeah. People were, blasting that stuff out. Horrible.
Yeah. So on my blog post, I have posted a link to some health officials of sort who have done some studies on pandemic COVID sufferers a year after the fact. So these are the ones that actually lived a year after the fact, and the health troubles is primarily cardiovascular health problems.
Yeah, so this is with long-term COVID.
Yeah, that
right?
they're suffering from now. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're as healthy as possible at all times. You don't know what's coming at you next. So why not take up hiking? It's a beautiful country to hike in.
Yeah.
People from other countries want to come to
Yeah,
see
so often
our
the
Rocky
real
Mountains and
hikers
stuff. Yeah.
we've seen have come from Germany, you know,
Sure.
and they've got Switzerland next door, but it's not nearly as crowded. So they've come from Germany. So often we see, I don't know.
And
I won't
there's
say
a
the
lot
majority
of
people
well,
come from
we've seen a
Germany.
lot of people who come on those charter buses. They're like tour groups, and honestly,
From Japan.
They come from everywhere, but because
Lots
you don't
from
know,
Japan.
but they're not actually hiking because the tours, they'll go from one spot to another, right? So there's very little hiking involved if you hire one of those tour companies to take you around. It is best if you are wanting to see the Rocky Mountains, schedule yourself. Look at the national park websites and they have beautiful pictures and descriptions of various hikes, what you'll expect to see. And if you're like me, it's all about the waterfalls and canyons, because you can see a view on the way to those things or on the way back. So, but whatever your thing
If you
is,
like
then
views,
you can look on
that's good too.
Yeah, there are also many people have done blog posts like mine where they love the mountains, they love hiking, so that's what they're focusing on for the most part, or whatever, right? So you can look at those sort of resources too, but primarily National Park website. And so the Parks Canada, look at Parks Canada internet resources, and then you can plan out your hikes for yourself. You don't need to hire some company to take you around different places. You can rent a car once you get here and take yourself there. It works out great.
Take a bus to whatever, but not
Sure.
within the parks.
Yeah, we hate
Pete's
those
sakes.
buses in the parks. They're way too
awful.
big.
Mhm.
And
They have to back up some switchbacks, like
Yeah, it's terrible.
getting up
and
to the Yoho
in any
River.
case, they should be paying the owners of those companies. They're profiting, taking people around. They should be paying huge to have to, so that roads can accommodate their buses into the parks and stuff like that. I mean, that's way more wear and tear on the than anything else.
Than a little Yaris, for example.
Exactly. So I don't know. That's my take on it anyway.
So before I launch into this, I will mention something. You were talking about long-term COVID. Pauline especially has been talking about long-term implications, because she's
Right
seen me
since the
with
beginning.
shingles over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But of course, we've got people
And-
censoring us and stuff like
Okay.
that. Fun times. Okay, let's lighten up. So I've talked about this one before, Water and Lakes National Park. I finished it up maybe a week ago or so. So a couple of days after my birthday. It's a good book. I'm sure they've got a more recent edition. This was put out in 1986, and it seems to be a semi-official publication, as you can see. That looks like a marmot. A wonderful picture there. There were a lot of black and white photos. I'm sure latter day editions have also have all sorts of color photos and stuff like that. Reasonably good map, given the fact that it's not large format and stuff like that. Now, this thing is a little more recent, but actually not much more recent. It's 1992, so 6 years after this. and it's walks and easy hikes in the Canadian Rockies. And I always see Attitude Super Guide instead of an Altitude Super Guide. But I think this picture is actually black and white touched up. But they've got very few black and white photos in here. And they tend to be old-fashioned photos, and they haven't, I think, colorized them. So here's Pocahontas, which is actually, Pauline and I have driven pretty close by it. We've driven on this highway here, Edmonton. But it is in Jasper Park, and it was an old coal mining enterprise, named, I think, after a coal mining place in, of all places, Virginia. Can you believe that? Pocahontas. But it has some wonderful pictures in here of some wonderful sights that you can see. We've seen, I don't know, so here's the Upper Falls and Johnston Canyon. They don't really show the travertine that well on the well, they do show travertine over here, but in this picture there's an amazing travertine rock face, kind of like opposite the, when I say kind of, because it's weird, it falls, it's opposite where you stand on the viewpoint. So I think it's over here in this just out of the picture there. What are some of the other? Grotto Canyon, I'd really like to see that. It's not exactly what Pauline really likes, but she likes a lot of things. Bankhead, here's another, I think this was another, there's a coal tipple right here, old-fashioned photo from probably over 100 years ago. And this, I think, Bankhead is near Banff. Oh yeah, it's by Lake Minnewanka, I think that might be how you say it. So Pauline and I have been near Lake Minnewanka, but we've never actually seen the coal tipple there. Tunnel Mountain Hoodoos, we went there. That was the third day of traveling. It felt like a fourth day, but a third day of traveling through the mountain parks, as they call them here in Alberta. And when I started out the walk here from Bow Falls, we'd already covered, I think I've done a calculation here. It's in a different book of how many, I think the day before we'd done something like 12 miles walking. It was over 20 kilometers. It's probably over 12 miles. But I was just recovering from as much as I could from bone marrow cancer, 5 fractured vertebrae. I hadn't realized how much walking we'd done. We'd done walking on the first day. We did 12 miles the second day. This is the third day. When we started out, it was about, I'd say 50 steps in. That's steps. I was groaning with each step I took. But we made it as far. This is from Bow Falls all the way past, actually, Tunnel Mountain Hoodoos. So, it was, I wasn't able to make it all the way back to Bow Falls.
And really, I wouldn't recommend that hike. Unless you're staying in Banff itself. And,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Well, going to the Hoodoos is good if you can park up
yeah, it's
by
better
the
to just
campsite
park right up
on
by the
Tunnel
Hoodoos.
Mountain. But it depends on what you like. I kind of like the memory of it because I don't remember the pain. You know? It's hard to remember pain, and that's wonderful. You know? Some people can't get over it, like they get post-traumatic stress disorder. But I enjoyed. A lot of it is down in the Bow Valley, river bottom kind of like, and I enjoy the memories of it. So I just kind of, I don't have to really shut the pain out or whatever. It was a pretty good day. A little windy. It was amazing because it was sunny, and we were after I finished walking, we went back roughly near I think the Tunnel Mountain campground, and Pauline ran to get the car. She ran, I don't know, it might have been I don't want to exaggerate. It might have been 4 or 5 kilometers because she had to take a circuitous route. She went on the road, and holy smokes! I was sitting there. I had a coat on, a thin kind of windbreaker, and I was freezing. It was like, when was that? It was like late August or early September.
I can't remember. Yeah,
But it was not late September. It was like around Labor Day or something like that. And it was sunny, and I was on a south-facing slope, and I was
but there was a bit of a breeze.
What was that?
There was a bit of a breeze.
There was just a bit of a breeze. It wasn't like a blasting chinook.
No, that's true.
So a person has to keep that in mind when they're out walking, and if you run into trouble, you should have a good windbreaker and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So this is a great book. I hope they've come up with more later editions or stuff like that. The guy who wrote this has walked the trails, he claims, and I believe it, because all of the trails here, because he gives good directions about this stuff. I can recreate the walks, like we might have done a third of the walks here or something like that. I'm probably being a little bit I'm probably overestimating the walks a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know what the walks we've done, but we've done a lot of this.
I tend to skip the ones that don't have anything to do with waterfalls or canyons. James will get us to go on it, and I'm just bored out of my mind, honestly. I mean, it's good to get exercise, but why not get exercise and see a waterfall or a canyon? Like, I'd rather just do those ones again and again than do.
Whereas I'm kind of a completist,
yeah. So he likes to go.
I would like to do all the trails, like in Waterton, all the trails in Jasper, all the trails in Banff. Moline Canyon, this is awesome. They say the canyon, sometimes it's as narrow as a meter wide.
Really? I didn't notice that.
Like
only
3 feet. And I could
like
say
maybe
you could
up or
jump
down. Yeah, because it wouldn't go like straight up and down exactly. So maybe sometimes it's the up is skinnier than the down, or the down is skinnier than the up.
I don't know what you mean. But
of the rock. It doesn't go exactly like this. It might go.
Oh, exactly right. Yeah. But much of it is just like straight down. So you could literally, please don't do it, jump over this canyon.
I bet people have.
Oh, of course. Now, one of the things this guy does that they don't do a lot of places, because I think they say he's been he works at helping rescue people.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because they've done things like jump over.
Yeah, so there's a natural bridge. He says don't do it.
Yeah.
In one of the places, and he says don't do it. People have died doing it. Yeah. Or we noticed the signage and the fence around, I think it was Athabasca Falls. Those things are slippery. I think, I don't know if it's limestone around there. Limestone, for some reason or another, tends to be slippery. And of course, around the falls, you get spray.
Yeah.
And so there's...
Well, we've walked on trails that the rocks are, like, it's not... you wouldn't think it'd be really dangerous, but when the rocks are wet, wow. It's terrible.
I even noticed around Crip Lake, it was around Labor Day, and it was dry. Remember that day when we walked up around Crip Lake?
You were slipping?
When you got up in the limestone, up above the...
I wasn't
thank heavens, I wasn't slipping where there was cable. But, I have to watch because of my 5 fractured vertebrae. I don't want to make it worse.
Yeah, but that was before. That was before your back got...
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Now that I think about it. Well, I was watching because limestone, once you got up past the cables and all the dangerous stuff, this was even before I injured my back. I was saying this limestone is slippery. Kind of tends to be a little bit humpy and stuff like that. And I'd have to really watch it.
You don't want to even twist an ankle. Like I've been really haphazard about my footwear. I've just been wearing running shoes. A lot of people do, but I know that it's best to have ankle support. So if you're going to wear running shoes, they should be ones with higher tops that have ankle support. So they make running shoes. They're just as comfortable as running shoes, but they're designed for hiking, and they are better.
I've got to get something like that, but I've got to watch out because I can't get something that's really clunky, like typical because of my back.
Yeah.
I've got to be light on my feet. I can't be stumbling all over the place. Since I started getting into since I got into the last stage of this cancer, and thank heavens, it's coming up to 11 years now. They were initially, when they diagnosed me in 2011, giving me 18 months to live. But
and that was with the treatment.
With treatment.
Yeah.
Very mild treatment, because anything more strong would have killed me.
Yeah.
So how many times? I fell down, I believe it was 4 times before they diagnosed me. Once when I was in the care.
In the emergency.
Once in the emergency. They didn't bring me, after they had me on
lots
morphine.
Of morphine. Yeah, they gave even extra morphine.
Yeah, morphine.
They gave some morphine to get him out into the ambulance, and then they gave
me more in the hospital to put me to
so he was just sleeping.
Yeah.
And
so they woke me up in order to tell me, like, get out of my emergency room.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what they were telling me. Yeah. What did they give me? They gave me Ativan, the skunks.
Yeah, they said, they told me that they were wheeling his bed out to go do an MRI. They told me that's what they were doing, and I should have went with, because I don't believe they did that MRI, because later on
it would have shown all sorts of damage by that point in time.
So because it wasn't long after we were in Grand Prairie and he was terminal, because there was so much damage. All of his bones were Swiss cheese, holes through everything, his skull, everything.
I don't think they did anything.
So
I think Pauline's
wouldn't have done it.
A bunch of
and
skunks.
Then
one of them was
doctor,
Dr. Strong. You stupid
and then
skunk.
One of the doctors, he went off, I guess. He left for the, and so the other doctor, he comes over and he says, "Well, your doctor's gone." And I'm like, "Well, who's going to treat him then?" And he was just like, "Well, you got to get out," kind of thing. And so that's the guy.
You haven't even told me this.
Yeah, he wasn't the guy who was actually looking at you.
Wow. Just
and he was just
me out of there.
Yeah, he just and it wasn't even like the emergency room was busy at that time. Like it's not like he had other patients to attend to. There was nobody there. So he just wanted us out.
Get out of my emergency room. I was a gomer.
I don't know. Sit around and chat? I'm not sure. So anyway, then
so that was March the 4th.
They poured him off the bed.
So the bed comes up like this.
He's
and I'm looking around. I'm just standing. Luckily enough, I'm standing, and I'm saying, "Where's the wheelchair?"
Yeah.
Now, when they finally got around to diagnosing me, they were saying I had 5 fractured vertebrae. I'm almost sure at that point in time I had at least 1. Yeah. So I'm looking around. Where's the wheelchair? So there's none. Okay. So I took 1 step and fell down.
So
in a hospital, you can't imagine a Slimer place.
They wouldn't stop. That's why we went to the emergency room. The back spasms wouldn't stop, and so then the morphine. I don't know if they made the back spasm stop or they just made you not feel them.
Well, I wouldn't be getting triggered.
Then he was right back. Once
I didn't get a back spasm. I just fell over.
Yeah, but once his morphine wore off, what am I like? I was telling the doctor, well, what am I supposed to do with him at home? Like, I knew what was going to happen. It was just going to be right back, you know? Like, I'm like, okay, you're not giving me any morphine for him at home. How am I going to care for him at home?
So they gave me Ativan, and when I run... Oh, sorry, I thought you'd...
No, that's okay. We're supposed to be talking about hiking.
Yeah, well, this has got to be talked about. I never realized it was as bad.
Oh, it was terrible. They should be
Dr. Strong, and I'm going to find out who the other guy is.
For us to live in Waterton.
I'm not a litigious person. What a bunch of skunks. I don't know. I probably had one...
I mean, they're ridiculous here. The doctors are ridiculous here.
Staggering.
I'm not
they almost
saying
let
all
Pauline
of them.
bleed to death.
I'm not saying all of them. There's probably some very good ones. Maybe we've just had all the bad ones. But it's ridiculous. James had, when he had a stroke at the beginning of COVID in Canada.
It was in June, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A little less than 2 years.
when he went to emergency, because he realized his vision was not working right,
Yeah.
and
So all
like
you
he
gotta
didn't
do-
know he'd had a stroke or anything right away.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
What happens is I've noticed loss of vision down here in the what I call the southwest quadrant.
Yeah.
Almost all of the southwest quadrant. More, let's say 50%, a little over 50%.
Yeah.
So I go, okay, there's something wrong. Is it wrong with one eye or is it the other? I go like this. I'm noticing the lack of vision there in the southwest quadrant. I go with the other eye, and it's the same area missing. And I go, okay, it's a stroke.
Yeah.
I knew right away, it's a stroke. So I go into the hospital emergency and I say, I think I've had a stroke. Oh, we'll check you. They'll say, I say, I'm missing vision. It's in both eyes, the same amount missing, and it's in the periphery. I can see in the center. So I was reading, and I still kept on reading. That's when I noticed it. I still could read. I could still see in the center of my vision. You don't use peripheral vision to read. So what do?
Well, not as much.
Yeah, it does affect my reading
Yeah.
because it cuts down, like scanning ahead a little bit. I had to adjust so I can read basically as fast as I could before.
Well, basically because we're always living in the past. And that's what I found about writing poetry is people say, oh, do you plan out what you're going to say beforehand, or do you like to? Oh, well, I like to very much.
Yeah, please, if you're writing poetry, do a little bit of a planning before.
But yeah, when you're writing poetry, when you're trying to find the secondary accents and stuff like that, like you can write it da-dum, 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 but there's going to be secondary accents in there as well as primary. You're going to have a whole range actually of accents in your sentence, and if you're turning it into a song, you need to know where those things are.
Yeah, tertiary accents help too, but
Yeah.
what?
But when you're looking for those, when you've written out a line and you're trying to analyze, okay, where is everything? So how am I going to sing this? Then you actually, to find the secondary accents, you go from the end of the line and you go backwards. That's what I found. So
Yep,
when you're
exactly.
reading, when you're a little kid and you're reading something and you're struggling over the pronunciation of just within one word of how to, then you don't really think about it when you finally adjusted to read a whole sentence fluently. But when you're writing poetry again as an adult, you notice it when you're having to work backwards in the line so that you get the accents correct. When you're reading out of a page, you get the accents correct. You're reading it sentence start to finish, and somehow
That's 'cause
you
you're
don't sound
scanning
like
ahead.
a little child. Yes, you've already read the end of the line. Well, your brain has. And so you're working with what your brain has already read. You're living in the past. Do you see what I'm saying?
So it affected my reading somewhat. So they put the eye chart up, way at the end of the place where they have me.
Yeah.
And they say, "Can you read that?" And I'm going, "Bum-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum." Because I'd had cataract surgery earlier, and it was made. I got it, I got the cheapest available, so the lenses don't accommodate and all that sort of stuff. So I got it so I could drive, but for reading I have to wear
Yeah.
lenses. So or glasses.
They said his vision was fine.
Oh,
'Cause
they
he
say
could
your
read the
vision's
chart.
fine. No way
Yeah,
you've got a
so
stroke. Get out
get
of my
lost.
emergency room.
Exactly.
They didn't actually say that, but they might as well have.
Yeah. So you.
I want to find out your name. I'm going to look up your name, and I'm going to look up the other doctor that was, many years before, 11 years ago, that was saying, "Get out of my emergency room. Here's Ativan." I'll talk